Hello again YouTube, and welcome back to Just Get a Tesla. And on this week's video I'm on another road trip, but there's an important question that we need to answer. Is it quicker to do lots of little stops? So we're starting the video off here at the salubrious delights of the supercharger in Dundee. This is not somewhere I had intended to stop, but as I was setting off this morning, I noticed that the weather said there was going to be 50-mile-an-hour gusts in my face practically the entire trip down. And that has been the case. The car has done 2.7 miles per kilowatt hour on the way down. 2.7, like 372 watt hours per mile, which, how can I put it, is poor. Very, very, very poor. So I was originally going to Edinburgh and then carry on down the road, but the car starts shouting at me and says, no, Ian, you need to stop at Dundee. Okay then, so here's the plan, and this is the new plan, which I'm doing for your entertainment and delight here on YouTube. What if we do a lot of little stops? So I'm here now in Dundee. I plugged in, it went straight to 140 kilowatts, which is the maximum these old V2 units can actually churn out. And the plan is basically to give me just enough then to be able to get down to Larkhall, and then another quick stop, and then just enough to get me down to Todd Hills and another quick stop, and then on paper, another one down to Scotch Corner. But Scotch Corner is likely to be hell on earth, so I'm going to add more at Todd Hills to get down as far as Ferrybridge, because I'm heading for Sheffield. We'll find out how this goes. And with apologies for the sound quality on some recent videos, basically my microphone kit wasn't working anymore, so I bought some new ones, which hopefully has fixed the problem. So I'm in between Dundee and Perth now. It's getting worse. In the 10 miles that we've run so far, I have burned 408 watt hours per mile. 408, and I'm doing 65 down here. The car is twitching all over the place as the gusts of wind just keep slamming in. Basically, it's coming straight down the Tay Valley into the face, and it's making a right old mess. So honestly, this trip, we're in, I know the Storm Darragh videos that I did showed that the wind was bad then, okay, and it really was. This, if anything, is worse. I think that the peak speed is lower, but it's consistent. I mean, it's just slamming. It's absolutely ridiculous. I've never seen anything like it in terms of it just blatting in the face. Now, so stop number 2, and we are here at Larkhall, and it's programmed for 10 minutes or so. What I'm going to do is be putting up on the screen as I'm going how long the stops were, because I think that's the issue. Basically, on the run down here from Dundee, and that took just over an hour and a half, efficiency continued to be as poor as it was. The wind still blatting in the face and making the car shake and shimmy, which was quite something. And even now, I'm hoping the new microphone is doing its job, because it's blowing me at the back, which isn't great. Anyway, other than that, it's the usual comfortable trip down here. But multiple stops at least gives me time to stop and think, because when you're just ploughing on down the road, and I know some keyboard warriors think that ploughing on down the road for infinity hours without a stop is a good idea, but for me, I tend to get a little bit bored of it, especially on motorways. Get down here, quick stop, get on with it and do something else. And we are away, and think that stop was 12 minutes, and we're on 50%, saying we'll arrive at Todd Hills on 11% in just over an hour's time. That's absolutely fine. Again, lots of little stops, and the reason why little stops is a good idea is, in essence, how can I put this? If you're doing a shorter stop, you're arriving on a lower state of charge, which means that you will take a faster charge when you get there. So in essence, the time that you are stationary, you are slamming the maximum possible power in. As soon as it ramps down, move on to the next charger. That's the theory. We'll see how we get on. And this is the part of the video where user error on new equipment comes into play, because for this whole section of video at the Todd Hill Supercharger, I hadn't noticed that the new microphone wasn't switched on. So the idea behind the stop at Todd Hills was to do another 11 or 12 minutes. It was literally going to give me enough power to get over the A66 and across to Scotch Corner, where I would then stick enough power in to get me down to Sheffield. Except that as I was sat there and plugged in, it abruptly changed where I was going, and suddenly I'm going to another EV on the Move site at Calder Park. I will confess I didn't know where Calder Park was, and I actually had to go and look this up. Calder Park. Where is that then? It turns out it is on the M1, just south of Wakefield. Great. It's another one of these new Euro Garages sites. Here's the point. To get from Todd Hills across the Pennines to Scotch Corner and then down again further is going to take more than an 11-minute stop. But this is where I started thinking, why is it doing this? And I think this is the point. Scotch Corner is a really old V2 site with pairs of V2 chargers with a total maximum output for the pair of 130 kilowatts. If I get there and the site is busy, and it's telling me there that there's 3 of 8 available on arrival. So the site is busy, and one of the stalls that I'd be plugging into will mean splitting that 130, which means that you only get 65. And 65 kilowatts is significantly slower than the rate that I'm getting sat there plugged in at Todd Hills. And this is where lots of little stops falls down. If all of the sites you're going to are V3 or V4 sites, so only a single cable, then you're going to be getting a maximum of 250 when you plug in, regardless of how many other units are in use. Okay, not entirely regardless. It is possible, if the site is completely maxed out, that you are going to be sharing not a charge of paired stalls, sharing the charge from the mega pack which is powering them, because they can only output so much power. I have seen them throttle down to like 180 or something, as slow as 180. But in essence, 65 would completely break the whole concept of lots of little stops. So this is what the car realised. It is quicker to sit there at Todd Hills charging for longer than it is to do little stops. Because as you can see on the screen there, I'm getting 94 kilowatts at that point. 94 is a faster rate than 65. So although the charge rate has already slowed down versus when I first plugged in, it is quicker to sit there with it slowing down than it is to unplug, go over the Pennines to Scotch Corner and get there and only get 65. And that's only get it providing there's even a stall available, and Scotch Corner is notorious for queues. So this was a little break in the lot of little stops piece, because I might as well sit there. So off I go to Costa, about to unplug, and it has literally just dropped below 65 and slowed actually to 54. So it's only in the last 2 or 3 minutes that the charge here has been slower than I would have got at Scotch Corner, and this is why I've stuck with it. And with that, we're on our way. Although it's got to be said, traffic is obviously getting worse, which is the other issue. Let's see how we get on, because my arrival in Sheffield is now suggesting that it's going to be about 20 minutes longer than it was going to be. Although, as I've seen on this trip so far, it does keep pogoing between different positions, which I assume is all traffic related. This Todd Hill site, it's not pretty, but it's very useful, because there's a lot of chargers, there's a Costa, and there's not a lot of other competition in terms of cars going and blocking them. And that is a good thing. On our way across the A66, and okay, so we've got some single carriageway sections on this route and then some faster dual carriageway bits, but that is not the reason why our efficiency is improved as it is. We're now on 331 watt hours per mile, so we have just dropped through 333, which is 3 miles per kilowatt hour. We're now doing 3 and a bit miles per kilowatt hour, which is practically unheard of on this trip. And our overall efficiency for the whole thing is 362 watt hours per mile, having just gone through 300 miles. It's not been great, but the wind is now behind us. Makes a change. Well, what it does mean though is that at the Euro Garage's supercharger, which we are going to stop at for a very quick top up, that is now showing us 15% on arrival, and when I left it was 8% on arrival. So you could argue that we have charged for maybe 5 minutes longer than we needed to, probably, but then again, had we not recuperated some of the energy, as I was, to be honest, expecting, but had we not done so, then the risk is that we would have been setting off, showing us arriving on about 2%. Now, I am a bit of a gambler at times when the weather conditions are changing. So I did a video traveling back north from Newcastle a couple of videos back where I said that my state of charge went from -7%, I think, to +7% or +12% or something on arrival into Gretna. So you can change the position when the weather changes en route, but you've got to know for definite that it's going to do it. We're coming down now towards Scotch Corner, having done the climb over the Pennines and back again. Efficiency is on 322 watt hours per mile, so what's that, 3.1 or so miles per kilowatt hour. A big improvement on earlier on when we were down on 2.7 and worse. The map I've just had a look at is showing that Scotch Corner has got 2 stalls available. So I don't need to stop at Scotch Corner because I charged for longer at Todd Hills. 2 stalls means pulling up and having to split the charge. And as we talked about, a split charge from a 130 max on those old V2 paired stalls means I'd only have been getting 65 kilowatts. So here's the point. I think the short and frequent stopped route absolutely works if you've got a fast charge to look forward to. So if you can plug in and you're getting 200 plus, fantastic. If you're going to plug in and get 65, and to get there you've got to faff around and waste a good 2-3 minutes going round multiple sets of traffic lights on a big roundabout, it isn't worth it because it's a slow charge. You might as well use an old GridServe charger or any of these other nonsense units that are going to be charging you 80p a kilowatt hour for a 50 top speed. It's practically as slow as that. Nobody in their right mind would be doing that, and I certainly wasn't going to be on this trip. Coming into the charging site now, and how can I put it? I think there's like 10 bays here, which is a lot. It's fantastic to see the private sector, not just Tesla, putting Tesla charging units in, because this is really, really handy. Oh look, here you go, signage as well, EV on the move. Well, I'm an EV and I am on the move. Wherefore art thou? Oh, here they are. Yep. That's a Laura superchargers. Fantastic. And look, it is basically a petrol forecourt. But then obviously you've got deviants like me who don't want dead dodo juice. We want electrons. So as I sit inside the car, once again sheltering from the wind, which is immense, what do I make of my lots of little stops strategy? Well, I think largely it's been great because I've been getting full charging speed everywhere that I've gone. The only exception is when I extended the stop at Todd Hills, purely because otherwise I needed to stop at Scotch Corner, which was going to be slow. Note what the car did. Initially, it was directing me to Scotch Corner because at the time it was doing so, demand at Scotch Corner was relatively slow, which meant that even a 130 kilowatt max charging speed I would get because I wouldn't be sharing a stall. As soon as it detected that I was going to be sharing a stall and only then getting 65, it changed where I was going and sent me to here instead. And here is yet another brilliant Euro Garage's site. I mean, look, we've got a Starbucks over there, there's a shop, 10 stalls just off the M1 motorway. Fantastic. So my alternative plan for this would have been to, instead of having 4 stops, let's count them, 4 I could have had maybe 2 much longer stops. So imagine having the Todd Hill stop, but doing a really long stop at Dundee. And again, those are not the fastest charges. So I must have been there for 12 minutes. If I'd been there for more like 40 minutes, then I would have had enough to have been able to carry on. But a 40-minute stop makes no sense when it's literally, actually having checked it, 13 minutes and then 12 minutes at the next one. That is much quicker if you want to make progress. If there is a fast charger on the route, you might as well top off and get on to the next one. Let me know in the comments what you've done, okay? If you've done a similar kind of trip and you have had exactly the same kind of epiphany where you want to do lots of little stops. How has that worked for you? Alternatively, if you would rather plug in and just leave it sat there for a while because you want a longer break, let me know again in the comments. This has been quite interesting and I hope you've enjoyed it as well, so please like and subscribe. Hit the subscribe bell, it's absolutely free. My referral link is live once again, which is great. If you want money off your next purchase of a new Tesla, use the referral link on screen, and I will see you back here very soon on Just Get a Tesla.